Pain, the unavoidable visitor. Pain is something none of us truly avoid. It doesn't ask for permission. It enters our lives unannounced, quietly, unexpectedly, and leaves behind marks no philosophy can instantly erase. And the Stoics knew this well. They didn't teach us to suppress our emotions. They didn't ask us to act tough or run away from what we feel. On the contrary, they taught us to face pain with courage, with a clear mind and an honest heart. I allow myself to grieve. I allow myself to cry, not because I am weak, but because I understand denying emotion only gives it more power in the dark. And in my most fragile moments, I ask myself a simple question. Right now, what do I truly have control over? Not the past, not the fact that someone I loved is gone, not the things I wish I could do over again. The only thing I still hold is how I choose to move forward. In this moment, right now, I can let pain define me, or I can let it deepen the wisdom inside me. I can keep walking not because I've forgotten, but because I've come to understand. Understand that nothing in this life is forever. But the way I choose to respond, that is what shapes who I am. Welcome to the calm within, a place where we seek peace amidst life's storms. In today's video, I want to share with you a story about loss, about grief, and about the inner strength that is forged through Stoic wisdom. Not to make you feel sad, but to remind you that even in the darkest moments, you can rise, stronger, wiser, and still walk forward with meaning. There was once a young man named Ethan. He grew up with his mother in a small house on the edge of town. His father had passed away early, so his mother became his entire world, his teacher, his comfort, his home. Their life was simple, but filled with quiet love. A warm meal always waiting when he came home late, blankets sun-dried in winter, and familiar words from her gentle voice. Just be kind, my son. That's all I ever ask. Ethan always thought she'd be there for a long, long time. But one morning, everything changed. His mother collapsed in the garden. The doctors said it was late-stage cancer. Time was now measured in months. Ethan broke. He went through every stage. Denial, anger, hope, despair. He prayed. He searched for every treatment. He cried silently as she slept. But just like the last leaf of autumn, she let go peacefully, and Ethan shattered. After the funeral, the house became hauntingly quiet. Her chair still empty. Her coat still hanging by the door. The scent of her ginger tea still lingering in the kitchen. Ethan didn't cry as much anymore. He simply sat, staring into space, feeling like part of him had vanished. Then one night, while rummaging through an old bookshelf, he found his mother's worn copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He remembered she used to read it. Tucked between its yellowing pages, a familiar handwriting underlined a single line. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Ethan paused. He kept reading. And for the first time, he didn't read with his mind, but with his broken heart. He realized pain is not something to run from. It is something to be seen, held, and eventually released. Ethan didn't forget his mother. He learned to live with gratitude for having her instead of bitterness for losing her. He began writing down the lessons she taught, waking up early just like she did, exercising, keeping her drawer tidy. And every time he missed her, he no longer swallowed his tears. He smiled, because now, in every ordinary action, she still lived through him. That is the quiet strength of Stoicism, not to escape grief, but to walk through it with presence, with clarity, and with love that endures. 1. Learning to accept. One of the most powerful and awakening lessons from the Stoics is this. It's not what happens that hurts us, but how we perceive it. We cannot control what life brings our way, but we can always choose how to respond to it. And in that choice lies the foundation of our inner strength. I began to see loss not as a tragedy, but as a natural part of life, a chapter that, sooner or later, we all must face. No one stays forever. Not our loved ones, not our friends, not even ourselves. Death doesn't wait. It doesn't send warnings. It doesn't care about age, status, or promises left unspoken. And it rarely asks if we're ready. But it's this very impermanence, this uncertainty about how much time we have left, that turns every moment with someone we love into something priceless. A hug, a glance, a quiet evening spent side by side, even a simple message that says, "Hey, I'm thinking of you." One day, these small things will be the very moments we ache for. The Stoics never taught us to be cold. They taught us to cherish life precisely because it ends, to love more deeply because love may not always stay, to accept goodbye not because it's easy, but because it's real. And in that acceptance, we lose nothing. Instead, we find ourselves stronger, wiser, and more intentional with the love we still carry. 2. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. Stoicism never tells us to forget. It never asks us to bury our grief or erase our memories. On the contrary, it teaches us to live with our pain, but not be defined by it. To move forward, not because we're over it, but because we've learned to walk with a quiet space inside us, where someone we love still lives. Every morning, I wake up and ask, how can I live today in a way that makes them proud? I live not to forget, but to carry their story forward through the values they left in me. I've learned to live slower, to be more grateful, to love more fully, not because I've stopped missing them, but because I want to turn that love into meaningful action. Because in the end, the most beautiful continuation of love is not holding on, but living well with what remains in your heart. True strength is not about hiding tears. Strength isn't pretending you're fine. It's not about forcing a smile or hiding your tears. Real strength is walking forward even when your heart still hurts. It's choosing kindness even when the world has left you wounded. It's accepting reality, not because you agree with it, but because you know resisting the unchangeable will only exhaust you more. Strength is when you still choose warmth, when you still believe in goodness, even when life has knocked you down. It's when you don't let pain distort the shape of your soul, when you don't let loss dim the light inside you. So if you're walking through hard days right now, please remember, you're not weak because you're hurting. You're strong because you're still moving forward. 3. Loss is unavoidable. In this life, loss is inevitable. We will lose loved ones. We will lose dreams. Sometimes, we will even lose parts of ourselves. But what defines us isn't what we lose. It's how we face it. Loss can break us, but it can also deepen us, steady us, and remind us what truly matters. Stoicism doesn't come to soothe us with sweet words. It doesn't promise we won't feel pain, but it gives us a place to stand, steady, grounded, amidst the storms of life, not by shielding us from sadness, but by helping us face it with awareness, with calm, and with the faith that every pain has the potential to become a stepping stone toward growth. Final words from the calm within. Pain is a part of life, but we have a choice to let it drown us or to use it to grow, to understand more deeply, to live more meaningfully. Stoicism doesn't soften grief with forgetfulness. It teaches us to look it in the eye, to accept it, and to keep walking with a strong and open heart. If you're grieving today, know that you're not alone. And remember this: you don't need to forget to move on. You just need to learn how to carry the pain with peace and with love. Thank you for watching this far into the video. If this message resonated with you, please give it a like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments so we can walk this path together. See you in the next video. And until then, may your pain become your strength, and may your love carry you